Hello, everyone. I'll give it a minute for people to join. Going live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for those joining live or on the replay. We're going to be talking today about 5 signs that you are a healer. And for those of you who know me, I work a lot with other healers, other empaths. Everything I do is about teaching about energy anyway, and from an energy perspective. So I'm going to be sharing 5 signs, and these are signs that I determined after working with a number of people. Just on my own, I teach other healers too, and mentor other healers also. So this is really all just from my observation, the 5 signs that you are a healer. So the first one is that you seem to have this knack for what to say at the right time, especially if someone is bringing an issue up to you or seeking your advice. You seem to know exactly what to say. And this has happened to me a number of times where sometimes I have said something and I don't exactly, at the time, I didn't know exactly where it came from. But it's like once you say it, it's almost kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? That sounds really profound. I should probably take, my own advice. And what that really is, if this has happened to you, which if you're watching this, I bet you that it probably has, that you have accessed universal wisdom. You tapped into that higher self part of you, and you ended up saying something that the other person needed to hear at that time. And they were able to use that. It really resonated with them. And that is something that shows that you are that channel for the information to come through for another person. You may also have had a knack of knowing exactly what to do to actually help someone to fix something. So, when I say that you have a knack for what to say or what to do, what I'm saying here is that when you actually do these things, that they're effective. So another example would be my first Reiki teacher told me an experience where he actually got a spider bite. And he didn't know where this information came from, but for some reason he knew to put, I think it was either garlic or ginger, a tea bag, a compress, and he was able to heal it. He didn't need to go to a doctor. And in retrospect, when he went to go look up natural treatments for spider bites, he found that what he had actually done was what was said in this resource that he looked up. So again, that's channeling universal wisdom, all of the knowledge that ever was, is, and will be. So if that has happened to you, that could be a sign that you're a healer. Now, if you're a massage therapist, here's another example. You probably already know exactly where to touch someone, what pressure point to use. And I'm not a licensed massage therapist, but I've done this before when I've worked on my husband. I'll touch somewhere he's not feeling good, and and that spot will be a little bit tender, or that's exactly what he needed. And so he'll tell me, he's like, how did you even know where to go? And I can't necessarily say exactly where that's coming from, but I'll know exactly where to touch. So if you do Reiki, that's something also too, that where to go intuitively. You just know where to place your hands. So the first sign for those of you who are just coming on right now, if you're a healer, is exactly what to do. You have a knack for knowing what to fix or what to say exactly at the right time. So for the novice healer, in this particular sign. The novice would be the person who either may offer something either unsolicited, it may not exactly be the right timing, or they might deplete themselves because they're wanting to help everyone. They know what to do. So it's all coming from a good place. But it's this whole thing where it's like, I overdo, I overshare, I overgive of myself, and therefore the healer may end up depleting their energy. Now, I'm going to say, if you're a new healer, or even if you're a seasoned healer, you've probably already experienced this. I know I definitely have. The advanced healer uses a lot more discernment. So in talking with someone, they'll know exactly, when to listen or when to speak. They'll know how to ask questions, especially questions that lead the person that they're talking to be able to use their intuition and tap into their own wisdom. The advanced healer also knows how to set those energetic boundaries where they know exactly what their cap is, for the day. So for me, like, I know exactly how many clients I can have in one day where that would be enough. Like, I can't overdo it. So that would be a sign of an advanced healer for this particular point that I'm talking about. The second sign that you're a healer is that people feel comfortable around you. So this is what I like to call the healer's presence, right? So here's a couple examples. I've had people walk through my door and sit down, and we haven't even really discussed anything yet, but that person may say, I feel good just being around you, just being in your presence. I've had people say, I don't know why I'm contacting you, but I feel the need to do so. I feel the need to talk with you, or to find out what it is that you do. And also too, I've had people come in and, and they feel comfortable just kind of just sitting there and crying. And, we may not have even really discussed a whole lot yet, but crying is a very vulnerable thing that people do. And so if someone is in your presence and they actually feel comfortable letting that out, that is also a sign. Now, for those who are empaths, right? Because healers are empathic, or they're empaths. You'll know that people will divulge a lot of information to you. They'll tell you their life story, right? They just feel comfortable giving you information, right? Which you don't always have to do something with, but they're trusting you, and that is that, again, that healer's presence. So I also work with a lot of empaths. Like I said, majority of my clients are empathic. Um, they tend to come to me because they want to be able to talk about their intuitive abilities. They want to be able to talk about their experiences and not feel judged. And they also want to know that they're not crazy, which they're not. So that's also another sign too, if you have other people who are very similar to you, but they feel very comfortable with explaining what it is that they're going through. So the novice in this particular sign is the type of healer that may still kind of be more in the beginning of their journey, and they may still feel the need to hold back. They may not be fully comfortable with embracing that healer within, and they might have a lot of internal conflict just because they don't know how other people are going to respond to them, or the people that they know how they're going to um, perceive or take what it is that they're able to do. The advanced healer is the one who has fully embraced this. Like, they're completely transparent about it. For those of you who know me, you know that I still am a registered nurse. Oftentimes, what I will do is I'll take that particular delivery that I have when I'm working in my business as an energy healer, and I will take that into my conversations, because I do a lot of triage where I'm talking on the phone all day with patients. I'll take that same calm into my conversations, with patients I'm talking to, even though I'm not necessarily, it's not the same setting, but it's the same type of thing that I am providing as far as the presence, the listening, the answering of questions. And believe it or not, sometimes they'll even send a little energy their way depending on the situation. Okay, so second, again, is people feel comfortable around you and you have that healer's presence. The third sign that you are a healer is you have the desire to make people feel better. Okay, so this usually, what I'm actually referring to here is compassion, right? Compassion is where you see someone else's suffering and you actually want to make it better. Now, with this particular sign, this tends to come along the journey when you're really trying to discover what your purpose is, right? Because I also have a lot of people who come to me about, I don't know what my purpose is, right? Or I have, empaths who will come to me because they want to use their abilities and they kind of, don't know where to start. So this is really where you begin to see what matters to you, what your priorities are and your values. And so people who go into healing work, especially spiritual healing work, it's usually because of that. They're trying to see how they can take their experiences and be able to shape them in service to others, which is going to kind of blend in with my next point. But as a healer, again, there's a lot of compassion. You tend to be compassionate and very empathic. A lot of times you'll put yourself in someone else's shoes. Those who have really strong empathic abilities, they may even be able to feel and know exactly what the other person is going through. So most likely, you might have had people point this part out to you. So whether someone has told you that you're really emotional, whether you are, they might have called you something in particular. So I'm trying to think of some examples. So there have been a number of times where I've been told that I'm a medicine woman, even though I didn't understand that at the time. I have been called an earth angel or an angel. You might have been told that too, like if you were there at the right time for some crisis, and someone might have told you that, right? Like they would not have been able to get through something without your presence there. Okay, so pay attention, think back to times in your life, because you might be surprised. Even if it didn't make sense to you at the time, you might have been surprised where certain things have been pointed out to you. And that to me is definitely a sign, because usually in retrospect, you'll see, okay, now I see what other people saw in me. So the novice, when it comes to this desire to make people feel better, is they might have difficulty with their energetic boundaries, right? Because they might feel overwhelmed by everything that they feel. So when I was in my 20s, and I was still working as a nurse in the hospital, I used to work in the emergency room. I had a friend whose father ended up in ICU after having a heart attack. And I went to go visit her and give some support. And what was really strange at this time is I walked into the ICU department, and as I started to come closer to his bed, I don't know why, but I started to cry, almost like to the point of sobbing. And my friend was just kind of like, aren't you a nurse? Isn't this something that you go through? Which I do, I'm working in the emergency room, but in retrospect and looking back, I understand what was happening. I was actually feeling the sadness of the unit, the sadness and the grief, loss, and that I was so overwhelmed. It wasn't necessarily her father, because he ended up being okay, but it was all the other energy in the department that I was picking up on. And so now, since I understand energetic boundaries, it's really easy for me to be able to detect and kind of flex, my boundary in order to be able to accommodate for the situations. So that would be more of like a novice thing in this particular sign, is having difficulty with energetic boundaries. Because especially if you want to be in service to others, if it feels like you're just constantly drained or overwhelmed by other people's energy, it's going to be really difficult for you to be a healer, okay, and to have any consistency. The advanced healer in this sign can set good boundaries and have better balance overall. So, like I mentioned earlier, like I know what my cap is for the day. I know how many people that I can have, how many clients I can have in a day, or how many days that I can work without being depleted. So the advanced healer knows this about themselves. They know how to reset, recharge, so that they can be consistent. Because if you're constantly wiped out, then it's going to be really difficult for you to maintain, steady clientele if this is something that you decide to do professionally. Okay. The fourth sign as being a healer, or the fourth sign that you're a healer, is that you've already begun to heal yourself because you understand that it's important to continue to raise your vibrational frequency. And so here's the thing. If you're an empath, there's already the potential that you can decide to go into healing work. Okay, because empaths, I'm going to say, empaths they're the healers of the world. Okay, that's something that I didn't understand when my first spiritual teacher told me that I'm an empath, and I was like, what is that? And she told me, she's like, they're the healers of the world. I was like, what? Like I was there just trying to work on my own depression and anxiety, and now I understand what it is that she was saying. So if you're an empath, there's that potential. But the thing is, if you haven't done any work on yourself, then it can become problematic if you start to work on other people. Because at that time, then when you receive information, the energy, when you're sensing energy and receiving information about people that you're working on, it can be difficult to figure out what's yours and what's theirs. And what can happen is that you can filter the information through your own wounding, which can actually become more of a disservice for the person that you're trying to help. And this is something that I stressed several years ago when I did my empath workshop, is that a lot of questions that I got was, how can I use my abilities, for others? And, which is great, which is fine. I'm totally all for that. But I always stressed, you have to continue to do your own work on yourself, or whether you have guidance or not. If you read something, follow people, work with me or work with anybody else, it doesn't matter as long as you're continuing to do it, because you can only carry people as far as you have gone. Well, carries, I say that loosely, but lead people, coach people as far as you have gone. And so that's something that I feel is super important, because if someone, let's say if you do have someone who is a very consistent client of yours, okay, let's say, in the future you're doing something as a business, then remember that they will also gravitate towards your level of consciousness. So whatever you have done to expand your own consciousness by working on your own healing, they're going to gravitate towards that. They're going to be absorbing that of you. So it's a really big responsibility to be working with other people. You have to be able to do the things that you tell your own clients to do. And so that, which is really more of an advanced thing, right? So the novice for this particular sign is that you've really just begun. Okay, you've begun, and and you're starting to kind of figure out what the whole healing thing is about. And the advanced healer with this particular sign is someone who understands that healing is pretty much never ending. You're going to be continuing to heal throughout the rest of your life. Okay, so the fifth sign that you are a healer is that you feel called to do it, or you have really seen, and in your calling, you might have seen how the universe has maneuvered things for you in order to do that. Okay. So when I became a Reiki master, I did so because I had worked on my depression and anxiety, and I actually healed that through meditation, as well as a whole other physical condition. I did that through meditation. When I realized what I had done, I wanted to explore energy more. Like I wanted to understand more. And I got this very, very strong impulse to sign up for a Reiki class. And that's what I did. So over the course of a year, I ended up um, learning, like getting my certifications and everything, and practiced, and then became a Reiki master. So what happened is that when I put it on social media, and I was terrified, put it on social media that this is what I do, this is what I was going to start offering. I had someone within an hour message me and go, where, I'll come to you, where are you at? And the whole oh shitness came in because I had nothing. I didn't have a table, I didn't have a location, nothing. And I kid you not, within 15 minutes, I got a text from my first spiritual teacher at that time who said, congratulations on becoming a Reiki master. Do you need a place? And so I was floored. By the end of that week, it was just maybe 4 or 5 days later, I had a contract with a place in Dallas that supplied a table, a room that I could rent, and everything. I just needed a few other supplies, and that was it. Like everything happened so fast and so easily that I knew that this was something that I was supposed to do. And when I started to see clients, that's when things started to evolve because people wanted to know what I did for depression and anxiety. And so I knew that I had to start teaching a little bit more about meditation and things like that. And so if if this is something that you want to do, if the healing arts is something that you want to explore, you're going to find that as soon as you start taking steps, some actionable things, that the universe will end up opening doors for you because it's in alignment with what you're meant to be doing, right? I see this all the time with my clients. I told you I work with a lot of other healers, I mentor other healers, and I see doors opening up constantly. And that's because they're being authentic. They are following what it is that pull and that call. And so and it's so interesting. Even this morning, I was getting texts from an individual who is working on trying to get sponsors for his podcast because it's something that he loves to do. Supposed to be doing it, and he ended up magnetizing that. It was so easy for him, and he didn't have to approach anyone. He was approached, and now he has other opportunities that are ready to line up. So when you are called and you answer the calling by taking action steps, by following your intuitive hits, or what I like to call your downloads, then you will start to see how things are maneuvered in your favor, doing what it is that you're meant to do. So let me reiterate again the 5 signs, especially if you're just coming on now. So thank you for joining. If you are, this is all going to be recorded on my social media. So if you're hopping on now and missed the other points, feel free to go back and watch. The first point, again, is that the first sign that you're a healer is that you have a knack for what to say and what to do, and it works. The second sign is that you have that healing presence. People feel comfortable around you enough to be able to tell you what's going on with them. The third sign is you have the desire to make other people feel better. So you have compassion and empathy. Okay. The fourth sign is that you've begun to heal yourself. You've begun to step into your own healing journey. You're beginning to understand what managing your energy is really all about. Okay, because again, you're going to be leading and helping other people. You need to know what healing is like. And the fifth sign, again, is that you feel called and you start to begin to see the universe maneuver things for you. So if these signs resonate with you, I mean, you can drop an emoji or drop a sign, but if you have questions on any of these, feel free to type them in, because we're going to get into an energy clearing for you to embrace that healer within you. Okay, so I felt really called to do that for everyone today. So again, I do mentor other healers, other intuitives, especially when it comes to managing your energy, because that was something. And the reason why I do this, by the way, is because when I first started to learn like Reiki, and I'm certified in several different modalities of energy healing. But when I started to do it, no one ever really taught me the energy management part. Like I was taught how to, like how to do Reiki, what to be thinking about, meditative clearings and all this type of other things that I do. But the energy management part was rather challenging in the beginning. So that was something that I really stress when I do teach Reiki or other types of clearings and energy work. I work with my clients, my students specifically, so we can start to eliminate other blocks out of their way to get them to where they need to go. Okay, so hi Carolyn, thank you for joining. So I do mentoring, and I hold other classes and stuff like that too. So if you're interested in that, then feel free to reach out to me. On my social media, you can DM me. Okay, well, let's get into the energy clearing for you to embrace the healer within. Okay, because this is really interesting, because when I do work with other healers, I actually can feel where there can be certain things that they're really apprehensive about. Okay, so if you haven't done an energy clearing with me yet, this is a guided meditation through your chakras. And I'm going to be really explicit about where we're going. So don't be concerned about, oh my gosh, am I visualizing this correct? Am I doing this right? You're going to be fine. Okay. Your higher self already knows how to do this. And in it, I just want you to follow along and see, sense, and feel in your body any shifts, changes, very similar if you've ever had Reiki work done. A lot of people feel a lot of different sensations. So, if you want to provide that feedback, feel free to do that. But we're going to be clearing through things that can block you from really stepping into you embracing that part, that healer part to you. Okay. We all really have the ability to self-heal, but if you feel called to be in service to others and you're not quite sure how to do that or what could be holding you back, this clearing is for you. And you can feel free to repeat it again, because again, this is going to be on all my platforms. Okay. So let's go ahead and begin. What I want you to do is just close your eyes. Closing your eyes turns your attention inward. And take an easy breath in and out longer on the exhale. Because when you do longer on the exhale, it slows your heart rate down, which signals your body that you're safe. Relax your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw. You can move your head around a little bit if you need to. And from the base of your spine, so right at your tailbone, imagine sending a grounding cord that's going down into the center of the earth. Now, this cord can be as wide as a softball or as wide as your hips if you feel the need to release a lot today. So go ahead and send that down. You'll know you get there when you see, sense, and feel a warmth, light, or higher vibration. Okay, really good. And then from the bottoms of your feet, in your visualization, I want you to imagine like your feet are on the ground and you're going to send tree roots down that go into the earth. Spreading those out really, really far and wide. If you need a measurement, imagine going out 200 to 300 miles, almost like you're starting to wrap it around the sides of the earth. Good. And then you're going to absorb the earth's energy coming up through the bottoms of your feet, coming up past your ankles, your lower legs. And in your lower legs, we tend to hold a lot of adrenaline. So imagine like you're moving that up and then up through the thighs, your hips, and then it meets at that grounding cord and then it circles back down. So if you're really, really sensitive and tuned into the lower part of your body, you might even feel a little bit more circulation through your legs. And now I want you to go to your root chakra. So this is right at the perineal area. So you can kind of think lower bladder or right where the genitalia is. And imagine like you are at the center of an onion. And you know how an onion has layers? I want you to go out to the 30th layer. So you don't have to necessarily count, just know you're going to go out to that 30th layer and you're going to pull that layer into the center and drop it down the grounding cord. Excellent. This is a third part to being super grounded, because if we're ungrounded, we're not fully in our body where we can take that full access to our intuitive abilities. So now that we're grounded, we're going to connect to universal energy. So imagine like you're going way above the crown of your head and you're pulling universal energy down. So coming from the center of the universe, again, you know where that is. And as it comes up above your crown chakra, this is where we have what's called a stack of creative rings. They look like wedding bands stacked one on top of another. And what these are representative of are your goals, dreams, desires, intentions, the things that you came here to create. If you're a healer, you came here to heal. Okay, so this universal energy is recalibrating each of these rings to your highest and best interest. And then go down to your crown chakra, which sits right above the top of your head, and go out to the third layer. We're going to pull that into the center. And here, what we're doing is we're clearing permission or needing permission to embrace that healer part of you, to become that. So pull in that third layer to the center and drop it down. And what that's doing is going through the pranic channel, so through your spine, and going down into the grounding cord, where the earth can transmute that energy. Now at the crown, please go out to the 15th layer. And what we're actually doing here is we are pulling in this collective control consciousness. Sometimes we can feel here like we need, so this is the reason why we talked about permission, because sometimes we feel like we need permission. We need some sort of green light. And sometimes we can feel like there could be other energies that really don't want us to step into this, don't want to give us permission. So we're pulling in that energy. And this is actually a really big energy here, if you can feel that. The 15th layer to the center, and then drop it down the grounding cord. Excellent. And now I want you to go down to your third eye. So we're at the center of the head now. Expand the third layer. We're going to clear through some limiting or lack of mindsets and beliefs, such as, I can't become a healer, it's too dangerous. I won't be accepted by others if I do. I'll be judged. I don't know how or where to start. Or I'm too scared, I'm too nervous. And there's also the fear of being seen. So pull in this third layer, really big energy here. You can feel that. Pulling that into the center, and you're going to release. Just continue to breathe and release as it goes down the grounding cord. Excellent. And third layer again, at the third eye, there's like a power struggle for some. Okay, so even if you're watching this on the replay, I'm creating this clearing as we're moving along for all those who will be watching. So some of you might have a power struggle, perhaps with another individual about this. There could be also just some internal conflict, like you may want to do it, but there's something mentally holding you back. So we're pulling that in, that third layer again, and then release. Okay, excellent. And then seventh layer here at the third eye, we are going to clear not being able to see yourself fully, like seeing that potential of you being a very effective healer. So pulling that seventh layer into the center and release. Excellent. Going down to the throat chakra now. So go out to the third layer. We're going to clear the fear of being heard. Now, for a number of healers, especially those who are really stepping into that today, I've seen a lot of past lives. People have been killed at the throat, right? So let's pull that third layer in to the center and release. Chances are you've been a healer in a past life, okay? And you probably, you've encountered times where, you had a lot of opposition, or you may have been killed for it, right? I have a lot of healers I come from a line of healers, actually. And so, there was a lot of incognito work that they had to do. Okay, so again, at the third throat, the third layer, let's clear any anger for being silenced. So pull that into the center and release. Because who's going to know what we have to offer if we can't speak, right? If you feel really constricted at the throat. So please go down now to your heart chakra. We're behind the spine here, okay? We're pulling the energy down the back. We're going to bring it up the front in a little bit. So at the heart, go out to the third layer. Let's pull in self-judgment, right? So all the times where you can make yourselves wrong or just be really disparaging with yourself. So pull that into the center. Release. Excellent. And then third layer again. Any guilt that you might have for embracing that healer part to you. So pull that in. I know that probably sounds strange, but people can have guilt for any number of things, and that can, if it's excessive or it's really old, it can potentially be a block. So we're pulling that in, and then release. Excellent. And then 10th layer at the heart. Okay, this is our access to the spiritual realm, and our heart's where we have our infinite wisdom. So we want to be able to access, the guidance from this realm. So pulling in that 10th layer to the center. Man, a lot of really big energies here today. And then release. Excellent. Going down to your solar plexus, so at the stomach area. Third layer, let's clear any people pleasing, okay? Because that has a lot to do with our boundaries. So pull in the third layer to the center and release. Really good. And then third layer again, any feelings of being powerless. So pull that in to the center. Because really, you really don't know how powerful you are until you've actually started to do some of the work. You're so much more powerful. I've seen people's just their eyes light up when they begin to do certain things with their energy to be able to help others. So pull that in, because you're actually truly powerful. So pull that in, release. And then 15th layer at the solar plexus. Again, this is that collective control consciousness where it can actually demotivate you, right? So maybe you have this pull towards becoming a healer, but you're just not motivated to learn. You're not motivated to do anything with it, but you feel like you should. So let's pull that 15th layer into the center. Release. Excellent. Going down to your sacral chakra now. So this is in between the navel and hips. And go out to the third layer. Let's clear anger. Anger all the way up to rage. So the times that, you as a healer, perhaps even in a past life, may have really had to face a lot of people who were either against what you did, didn't understand what you did, misunderstood you. Right? That's a really big thing that has caused a lot of anger for people. So we're going to pull that in. Perhaps you were stopped, you were unvalidated, even in present life. Pull that in, release. And it made you self-doubt, right? If people just don't get it, they can really make you doubt yourself. And that can cause a lot of anger. One more time at the sacral, let's clear any shame, right? Shame's going to stop you from really stepping into your power as a healer. So pulling in that third layer, the sacral, and release. Good. And then going down to your root, we're back at the perineal area. Expand the third layer, because here we're going to release a lot of fears. So fear of loss, fear of death, fear of annihilation, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not pleasing others, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of lack of support, and fear of not having enough money to survive, fear of not having enough value, and fear of speaking up. So pull that third layer in, really big energy here, to the center, and release. Excellent. So here at the root, we've pulled universal energy down. It's mixing with that earth's energy that we brought up through the legs, and it's coming up the front of your spine, going past the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and rings. And like paint over a balloon, that energy comes up and over the field, immersing through all the layers of the aura, your aura, going down past your legs, and then attaches at the grounding cord below your feet. So now we're going to take the energies of your heart, throat, third eye, crown, and rings. We're going to compress that, and it's going to go through the right shoulder into the right arm. So what we're doing here is we're taking care of what's called the circle of reciprocity. The right arm is all about the masculine side, the side that we do, that we give, that we execute, that we act. So here we're going to clear through here so we can take those action steps. What are the next steps that you need to do if you want to embrace becoming a healer? Pulling it through the right arm, opening it up, almost like you're cleaning out the pipes, to the right wrist. If you want, you can put your fingertips together like you're holding a softball, and we're going to move that energy from the right fingertips and palm over to the left side, and it's going to go up the left arm. This is the feminine side, the side that receives, okay? Receiving excellent feedback, receiving validation, receiving love, abundance, anything else that comes your way, becoming a healer. So we're going to pull that up through the left arm. Really breathe through the left upper arm here and into the left shoulder, okay? Because sometimes it can get sluggish here where it's difficult for us to take action if it feels like it stops at the left shoulder. So we're going to bring that down now into the chest, dropping into the chest, wrapping around the front and back of the heart, having gratitude for our abilities, gratitude for understanding that we have a gift that we can share, moving up front and back of the throat so that we can say that what we do, we can be comfortable with it, we can explain. Going up to the third eye, wrapping around the front and back of the third eye, so we can see ourselves fully, the potential of what we have to offer and what we are able to do. We can embrace possibilities. And then that energy comes up through the crown and then up and over the field. Excellent. So the last thing we're going to do here are cords. Okay, I'm going to check in with a couple other energies too, but let's take care of the cords. So I'm getting 15 right off the bat. So this is what we're going to do. Go to your root chakra, see, sense, and feel, because there's 15 here at the root. And we're not going to cut, we're going to deplug. So imagine like you're taking a plug out of the wall socket. And with energy, you can do all of 15 at the same time or one at a time, completely up to you. But go ahead, deplug, release, send it back. So as it's releasing and going back to who they belong to, and you may or may not have an idea. It's not always necessary to know who these cords belong to, but it's important to release them because this is where people don't feel safe grounding themselves, so they try to do it through you. Okay, and that can really siphon off your energy. Let me know if you need assistance with this. Otherwise, we're going to move on. So solar plexus, there's 5. So see, sense, and feel around the stomach area. Deplug, send it back. Okay. Again, this is going to go back to who it belongs to. At the solar plexus, this is where people can try to either get you to do what they want you to do, even without them saying it, but it could just be something that they need you to do. Okay. Also, two at the third eye. So see, sense, and feel. Deplug, send it back. Okay. So as you're sending this back, this is all about where people might want you to think a certain way. They may want you to agree with them, or they may even just kind of be wondering, what you're thinking about. Okay. So here at the third eye. So I'm going to check in with a couple other energies that I think is relevant for today. But if you needed help with those chords, then let me know. So let's take a look. Outgrown spirit guides. Okay, so there's 5. So at the solar plexus, so at your stomach area, I want you to pull in the 3rd layer here to the center. And what you're going to do is you're going to insert a black flame. I know that may sound kind of strange, but I want you just to go ahead and picture inserting a black flame and imagine like it's dissolving that energy here at the stomach. Okay, so just give it a second. You might even feel something kind of lift from the stomach area, or feel a squeeze or a twinge at the stomach area. And outgrown spirit guides, the reason why we're releasing this is because we may be at a level that we're ready to surpass what they have taken us to. So just allowing them to release, they can go help somebody else, but we're ready to get to the next place. Okay. So the next energy I want to check in with are fear entities. So collective fear consciousness. Go to the root, go out to the 25th layer. We're going to pull that into the center. And again, we're going to insert a flame here because there's 10 here. And so just imagine like we're burning, we're dissolving through that energy, because they can exert a lot of control. They can amplify the fears that we actually have been having. Because remember all those fears I listed? They can really amplify those, and they can feed off the fear to the point that it can paralyze us, right? It can stop us. It can cause us to go a different way and go to do something that isn't really in alignment with us. So I also want you to go to the 3rd eye, go out to the 25th layer, pull that in here, and same thing. Okay, so we're going to insert a black flame. Imagine dissolving, burning through that energy. There's 5 here. So all those limiting lack mindsets that we talked about earlier, they can really amplify that too. They can make it bigger than what they really are and increase that monkey mind chatter. Okay, excellent. All right, really good. So you can go ahead and open your eyes. If anyone has any comments, questions, if you want to say how you felt, I mean, that's fine too. I know a lot of times with energy work, you can feel maybe a little bit like a little woozy, maybe still kind of catching your bearings. You might have felt a number of different sensations. All that's very, very common. Make sure you drink plenty of water today. You might feel a little tired too, because there was a lot of those stronger energies that were on our field. So when I say those numbers, that is for collectively. Okay, so for those who are joining now and on the replay. So again, I do have, like I said, I do have classes and other things that I do. Tomorrow evening is my monthly abundance class in clearing. We're going to be working on visualization for manifestation, as well as doing another comprehensive clearing. So we're actually going to be doing just a tad bit more than what I demonstrated for you today. If you have questions on that, feel free to reach out to me. Again, if you are someone who feels that you're a healer, you have questions, wanting to learn more, feel free to reach out to me about that as well. But otherwise, I'm always here every Wednesday, 12 p.m. CST, discussing a different topic. Next week, Jasmine, the psychic medium, and I are going to be doing free mini readings. So feel free to join in on that as well. Jasmine and I also have a virtual event coming up on the 26th, and it's called Stepping into Your Power. So we're both going to be doing some teaching, as well as me doing another clearing, and she is also going to be teaching you how to connect to your higher self and talking about tapping into your intuition. So it's about like a 4.5 hour event on the 26th. If you're interested in that, feel free to reach out to me too. If you want to see us in action, again, we're going to be here next week. Okay, but that event is on my social media. It's the tickets are on Eventbrite. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all next time. Talk to you soon.